first time in Austin and South
Not
by?
my first time in Austin. I did a movie here 20 years ago. But my first time at South by, yeah.
Okay, how's it going so far?
Great, we just got in last night. I saw Vice Principals last night, the Danny McBride show, my buddy Walton Goggins, and it was fantastic. And it's great, it's a great energy out on the street.
Great. So I know Master Cleanse is more of a horror drama comedy.
Yeah, we're leery to use the word horror. I'm afraid that that's a little misleading. You know, there's no gore or anything like that. I don't think there's even any blood in the film at all. I just say that because I don't want to disappoint fans of that genre. But yeah, it's much more whimsical and psychological than it is slasher.
Yeah, and I know it's a bit different from obviously your character on Big Bang.
I hope so.
So were you looking to do something outside of the box and more so away from that character?
Yeah, always. You know, I think not that I don't love playing Leonard, but I think it serves that character when I go off and work with different people for a couple of months and play a different role. And yeah, it's something very creatively refreshing, obviously, making those departures.
Yeah, is it different from, you're so mainstream with Big Bang? Is it different to go kind of do an indie film? Do you like that? How did you like that experience? Like, how is it different from Big Bang?
Well, I mean, any sort of independent filmmaking is pretty chaotic. But there's oddly we romanticize that too. So, and there's a lot to be said about everyone's commitment that comes on board something this ambitious. We had a 22-day shooting schedule. That's ambitious for a rom-com. Never mind, kind of a dark comedy thriller with practical effects and puppets and puppeteers. So everybody put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And even in the casting process, everybody signed on immediately. We had Angelica Houston and Albert Platt, and everybody was really excited to be a part of Bobby's story.
And how did this project come to you? I know you were a producer first,
Yeah.
and then you actually weren't.
I read it. A friend of mine read it, and he said, I think this is kind of up your alley, and you'll appreciate it. It's weird, but I think you'll like it, and I loved it. Initially, I came on purely as a producer, and Bobby had an actor in mind to play the lead role who had given a verbal commitment, and I said at the time, if for some reason there's a scheduling conflict or the guy breaks his leg or something like that, I'm not going to play your leading man. I'm not going to step in and play and wear both hats. I think it just wouldn't be a good idea. It was my first film that I produced, and I really wanted to earn that position and that credit. And I was just worried that, especially for my first foray into that, that it might be a bit of a distraction, one to the other, It just seemed like too much to take home. But then inevitably there was a scheduling conflict with this other actor, and they just pretended like I'd never made that rule. Bobby literally was like, all right, well, let's go on down to wardrobe and get you fitted. Okay. I'm not complaining because it's a fantastic role, but yeah, initially it was just as a producer. I shouldn't say just, that's a lot of work, but yeah, that's all right.
And how was your experience producing for the first time? Did you enjoy it? Do you think you're going to be doing more?
Yeah, since then I've started my own company, and I have a deal with Warner Brothers Television, and I produced a pilot for them 2 years ago for Warner Brothers and Fox. And, it's something that I've wanted to do for 10 years, but again, wanted to wait for the right projects and wanted to earn it. I wanted it to be legit. And, there's been a lot to prove. I think there's an assumption made that when actors look for a position behind the camera, it's generally a vanity effort, if anything. But I mean, I had the crew and the cast was wonderful, and knowing that once we started principal photography, that it was my priority to play this character, and so they really gave me my space to do that, which was wonderful.
Was it hard juggling both?
No, and I think for that reason, they knew. I mean, I think I'm in every scene in the movie, and so they knew that I was really focused on the acting part. I had to be, because it doesn't matter how good a producer you have on a movie. If your leading man sucks, the movie's going to be terrible. So they were really wonderfully respectful, I suppose, of what that process now needed to be for me as an actor.
And then how do you get into a character that's a little bit different than what you usually play?
It depends on the character. I mean, you know, the key with Paul is that he's just, the poor guy is just searingly lonely. And I think, you know, we've all felt that. So I certainly had plenty to pull from. I certainly spent some time feeling very lonely myself. But what was fun about playing the character is that he's not quite aware of that, you know? It's kind of, I think, similar to like the analogy of the slowly boiling frog or something. His life has just slowly unraveled over the last 4 years. And he doesn't realize his misery. And that's fun to play because you kind of, this character's story kind of unravels. You get to learn it along with the audience in a way. No fun to play a character that has all the answers.
Yeah, that's true. How was it working with Angelica Houston and Oliver Pratt?
No, she's wonderful. We knew that she had read the script, and Bobby and I went down to Venice to meet her at her house, and we had a bit of an overthought conversation beforehand about if we should bring anything. We didn't want to show up to anyone's house empty-handed. And it was a little early for wine, and we felt like champagne would be presumptuous because she hadn't signed on yet. And we were there in her house 2 minutes before she was showing us wardrobe ideas for her character and pouring us champagne. It's like, okay, I guess Angelica's on board. Fantastic. So again, I mean, everyone was so committed immediately. And she's a blast to work with. She's hilarious, and of course has, I mean, a myriad of wonderful stories. She's had an amazing life and an incredible career.
What do you learn from? What do you try to learn from actors that have been in, really great roles? Like, what did you learn from Angelica?
I learned from Angelica. I mean, she has a wonderful sense of keeping things fun. Not to say that she doesn't work hard. She works hard. She studies hard, and she's a lot of fun to be around. I think, especially with a schedule like this, and not having the means of the studio money and things like that. It's important to not take the process altogether too seriously 1,000% of the time, and she has a great sense of that. I mean, as it is with a lot of people I've been fortunate enough to work with who've been doing this as long as someone like Angelica, it's just wonderful to see that you can do it this long and still love it, because I can't do anything else. And I'm incredibly fortunate to love what I do, but I do have a fear that I might wake up one morning 33 years into doing this and the passion will have left me. So it's a huge comfort and inspiration to work with people that have been doing it for decades and still have the same passion and curiosity and excitement for what we do. Does that make sense?
So obviously you have Big Bang going on. What other projects are you looking to do? Do you have a few lined up? You said you had some with your production company?
Yeah, working with the production company now and really enjoying that. Loving working with these wonderful writers that we're currently working with. And I'm not sure exactly as far as I think at a certain point when you've been doing this a long time, you stop. How do I put it? You just kind of make peace with the fact that projects kind of find you as opposed to you trying to hunt the projects.
And what other things are you looking forward to at South by? Are you going to stick around?
I got to see Vice Principals. That was like top of my list. Walter Goggins is my dearest friend, and he's so good in it. And I'm a huge Danny McBride fan too. So that's it. Like now it's all this stuff with you guys, and the premiere tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm really proud of how the movie turned out.
That's great. And then, so do you have any favorite Austin places that you want to go to?
Boy, I haven't been. I just passed Antone's. I was like, I remember that place. I think it's moved in the last 20 years, but they get some great acts in there. Had some dinner at the Roaring Fork, just downstairs last night. It was delicious. So, and today's so beautiful. I'm just going to take a long afternoon walk and kind of do some exploring.